I own nearly 1,500 miniatures, and not even a quarter of them are painted. Like this one right here, the $130 Glotkin. I haven't even finished his tentacle arm yet, and I got him 5 years ago. What am I doing? Pile of shame, pile of potential, pile of opportunity, whatever you want to call it. I want to figure out why I keep buying minis that I clearly don't paint or even build half the time, and I want to figure out how to stop. To figure this out, I'm going to go through every single model that I've collected and hoarded over nearly a decade in this hobby. I'm going to try to remember why I got them, see how many are painted versus unpainted, total up their value and what I think I spent on them, and finally dig into that data to try to figure out why I keep buying these minis that I clearly do not need. Lastly, at the very end of this, I'm going to share all of this data, including how much money I think I've spent on minis in the past decade with my wife.
Oh no. Jesus Christ. Nicholas.
I'm sure that'll go well. Huge thank you to my patrons for supporting this channel and to Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Let's do this. All right, let's start with the still in box GW stuff I have. First of which is, of course, CC the box set for City. I got this as a steal on Black Friday a couple years ago. It was only like 70 or 80 bucks. It was an excellent deal, and I haven't really done much with it, have I? I got a couple models off the sprue. I think I built the skeletons and then kind of stopped there. I got none other than the Storm Strike Chariot, which looks like it's going to be an absolute beast in 4th edition, but I haven't built it. I have a whole Stormcast army that I'll pull out in just a sec. It's got to be like 5,000 points worth of just so many things I've built, and I want to speed paint at some point, and I'll have to build this and this Celestar Ballista, which got squatted, so you can't really use it anymore, but you know what, it's still a cool model, so I'll have some fun painting it. Maybe there's something else I can proxy it as. Ooh, I got the Palonite Subjugator Patrol, which is basically Necromunda cops, which look just so dope. I don't know if I'm gonna build these as the actual unit themselves, or if I'm gonna do like a like some sort of cool conversion. I can see these making some really cool chaos type of warriors, or chaosy dudes, chaosy cultist guys that were like once cops, now not cops. Especially the shields. The shields are just like such an open canvas for kit bashing opportunities. Now we get into a couple of things that I didn't actually pay for. I go to the Holy events every year. I've been going for probably 5 years now, and they have a charity raffle at these events, and there's just a whole wall of just random GW kits, other kits too from other companies, but mostly GW. What you do for the charity is buy a whole bunch of raffle tickets, and then at the very end of the tournament, they do a raffle. They pull raffle tickets, you go up, you pick out your stuff, and through that, I've actually gotten these two things for sure. I got this. I got a whole Dominion box one year. There's a lot of really cool stuff there that you can end up getting through that raffle. It's not the same every year, but it's always worth going to, and it's always worth putting in the money for the raffle. Even if you don't win, it all goes to charity. It's called the Hesed House. All the proceeds go to putting a homeless family into a, permanent housing for at least a year or so. So it's a great cause, and I really like that, but it has definitely added to the pile of shame here. Last thing, which I think I also got through that charity raffle, is these old school flagellants, which look just so cool. There's no assembly required here. You just gotta put them on their base and they're good to go, which is wild. They're just cool, insane, and crazy cool to make. So that's the stuff that's in boxes for GW. I gotta bring out the sprues. I got a lot of sprues, and it's a bit of a problem, isn't it? Last time I went through my hoard like this, I ended up taking all of my GW stuff out of their boxes just to condense them on, make them take up less space, which was a great idea. But now I got this whole box filled with plastic. Let's go through it. Let's see what I got. All right. So this is two of the Blood Bowl teams. It is the Hobbit, which I've been taking bits and pieces out of for my Steampunk Hobbit City of Sigmar army. I'll be going through my painted armies here towards the end of the video as well. I want to see like how many models do I have painted versus unpainted. So for those of you that's been asking to see like the army showcase, it's coming at the end of the video. But we got the Hobbit Blood Bowl team, but I also have the little Grottic Blood Bowl team, which just looks so fun. I was initially thinking these could be like used to kit bash a KO army, like goblins and boats. What's cooler than that? But I ended up going for Skaven for that army. One of the issues with this particular thing is they're so little itty bitty and small that it's just kind of difficult to paint these well, or at least fast well. Like I don't like to do like display painting standard type stuff, but even just doing my quick paint jobs on something like this would be a little difficult. All right, those are probably the smallest models I have. Here's one of the biggest. This is a knight that says $120, but I know for a fact that I got for less than that because it was a Black Friday deal. Everything at the store at the time was like 30% off. So not only was an open box discount, but it was 30% off of this. This was what, 90 bucks, something like that? 80. It was $80 for this knight. I think it's a Knight Errant, so the cool looking one. At some point I'll build and paint this up, probably make some sort of challenge out of it just so it gets done. Or maybe I'll just destroy it and use its bits for something else. We'll see. That is also a possibility. Moving on, we have Nurgle. Two Nurgle kits, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is the Nurgle half of the 8th edition starter set, which, as you know, I love Nurgle. I just haven't gotten around to this army yet. With the exception of like 3 minis in here, I built and painted one of them. I converted one to be like a Nurgle sorcerer for my AOS army, which turned out pretty cool. But that's not the only Nurgle I have in here. I also have this partially completed Blight King on Plague Drone kit. I ended up getting 2 of those kits and building 3 of the models, because to get like the hero for these units, you basically take a full kit but only use one of those models. So I have this second one just kind of sitting here. At this point in time, you can run them as like single model units, so I'll end up building and painting this. I'm actually working on a Nurgle Spearhead box right now, which I'm hoping to have a video out pretty soon. Maybe I'll paint these up at the same time. We'll see. We have a Marshcrawler Sloggoth. Unboxed, still completely not assembled, not built, nothing. This one I know for a fact I also got at one of the charity raffles. I'll end up adding up how much I think I've spent in charity raffles since starting to go to them 4 or 5 years ago. So there will be like a cost for that. This will also be really fun to round out the Kruleboyz army that I have. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be splitting Kruleboyz and Ironjaws in 4th edition, since they're removing the bone splitters. So I'm really excited for 4th to be able to run a Kruleboyz. Let's hope they're actually good. It's been a full edition of them not being too good. 3rd edition, they just had issues. So we'll see. Let's see. All right, I have 2 boxes of the Bladegeist Revenants. I started a Nighthaunt army when they came out. I think that was the start of 2nd edition. And I basically just assembled and painted up 2 of the starter boxes. And I also got these a couple months later, but clearly I never did anything with them. I know I wanted to build out the army, and maybe they just got an update and they weren't good at that time. And then, you move on to other things. We got a couple more Plague Marines. Games Workshop does this weird thing with Plague Marines where you have to buy them in sets of 7 for a box, and then they have a separate box with like different loadouts that were 3 models each. So you basically had to buy a box of 7 and another box of 3. This is the box of 3. I have 1 miniature built out of this apparently. Oh, I did that for the speed painting video. So okay, that makes sense. But I got a handful more here to do. There's actually 2 sets of that kit, isn't it? Yeah, so this is an extra 5 Plague Marines. I probably have a good, 1,500 points worth of Nurgle that's just unbuilt, unpainted. We'll get there eventually. This may very well be the last of the GW stuff for me, and this is a box of the Corvus Cabal, one of the Warcry warbrands, and I think the coolest Warcry warband. I really wanted to paint these up like all synthwave and like vaporwave type of stuff. I made that vaporwave kill team board, and these are eventually going to go with it. GW also just said that these aren't being sold anymore, so I'm a little bit worried, like, are these going to be usable in Warcry moving forward? I don't know. Oh, more GW stuff. This is an old kit of Executioners, and I remember exactly why I got this back in the day. In Age of Sigmar, 2nd edition, right when points became a thing, Executioners were ridiculous. They had 2 attacks each, and on a 6 to hit, they would deal 2 mortal wounds. Like, it sounds good right now, but not too crazy. But at this point in time, it was not unmodified. You could modify your hits and still get a 6. So if you have a +1 to hit and you roll a 5, 2 mortal wounds. And with that, there was 2 ways to give these guys bonuses to hit and bonuses to hit stacked. Basically, on a 4 up, you were dealing 2 mortal wounds. So 10 guys, 2 attacks a pop. That is, on average, 20 mortal wounds a combat phase with these dudes. And then the additions changed, and they changed those ridiculous rules, and now I don't see a reason to put these together. The last things in this box are not GW. These are some unbuilt, some built, but basically a whole bunch of rats from Mantic and three little pugs. These things are so cute. I got all these rats to do my Skaven KO army. And I have some built, just not painted yet. Like you can see these guys. These are my my counts as engine riggers, which, you know, they have the balloon, they're floating rats, they got big weapons. It just kind of works. This thing right here was going to be Knight Judicar or Knight Judicator? One of those. And he was going to sit in the back and do his Splash Mortals, but then his points went up too much for that particular tournament, and he was too expensive. He couldn't be an ally. He was like 10 points too high. Let's see, I also built up this guy, who was like a engine master. Bunch of Mantic rats, which it's called Veermin from Mantic. And you can get a box with like 80 models. Maybe it's just 40 or 80 models, and it's like 60 or 70 bucks. It's crazy how much cheaper these are. All right, that is that box. The big boxes. All right, let's get into these GW boxes. Okay, I get the starter box for 40K or AOS whenever it comes out, which I know is just because of FOMO. It's because of FOMO. I want to be a part of that like little zeitgeist that we go through in this hobby where everyone's all excited about those boxes, and I really enjoy building these and watching other people build them at the same time. Like, I'll see a whole bunch of YouTube videos of people building and painting these things, and I'll build while watching those and get all excited about painting, and then I just don't, which is a little bit of a shame because there's a lot of really, really cool models in here, like these Necrons, which I've had since the start of 40K. Was it 9th edition? I think it was 9th edition, and they're really dope. I really want to paint these all, and I think what I'm just gonna have to do is just sit down and speed paint all these armies. But let's go through what I got. So I have the Necrons, as you can see here, just one of these boxes, which I'll get to eventually. They're all built except for the Warriors, which I just haven't done yet. I'll get to them. I don't know when, but I'll get them. You can also see I have some of the Space Marines in here, which at this point in time, I have a pretty sizable set of Space Marines, but not many of them are built or painted, probably like 10 or 12. So I got a lot of space. And even the ones that I painted already, I'm gonna wanna like re-prime and repaint once I get to them, just so they're all cohesive. I'm leaning towards Black Templars for my Space Marines, but like, I don't know if I wanna paint like that much of an army black. It's gonna be a pretty sizable force. I don't know if I wanna do black for the whole force. Maybe a more interesting color, a more fun color, like yellow. my Stormcast. I have so many Stormcasts, and as you can see, some of these are painted already. It's probably like 1,500 points worth of Age of Sigmar 3.0. I don't know what it's gonna be for 4.0, but a sizable chunk of painted, and then a whole bunch unpainted, because I got several, and by several I mean 2. I got 2 of the mini boxes. I got one on launch, and then I won one at one of the Holy events. And as you can tell, that bulks up your collection pretty quickly. If you want to learn how to build one of these boxes, I made a video on how to convert the GW launch boxes into like a mini storage system. I'll put a link right here. You can go watch that after this. All right, we have my dragon flavored vampire counts. Not vampire counts, Soulblight Gravelords. These are actually mostly painted except for these, which I was running as Vargeist. There's some just like quick little 3D prints I did just to try Legion of Night as opposed to the dragon vampires themselves. I don't know. Honestly, I'm probably gonna end up throwing these 3D prints out because they don't quite match the aesthetic I'm going for, but they're here for now. They'll count towards my unpainted model count. Really like this army. It's very fun on the battlefield. You're very fast, very powerful on the charge, but you need to have something there to like screen off your guys, or you're gonna get, you know, minced on the return charge. Pretty fun army though. Whole bunch of painted models, and I painted them all in like 10 hours. It was a really fun project. Whoa, more unpainted stuff. These I printed off a bunch of these earlier in the year. I was gonna try to time this to release with the launch of the Old World, but then life happened. They are little Egyptian undead guys, and this is going to be my counts as Neferata. Got Nephi here sitting in her Sphinx looking all cool and awesome. I got this guy, which I'm going to count as a Vengorian Lord. I'm sure I might have to tweak this a little bit with the 4th edition rules, but I'm confident skeletons and skeleton cavalry is probably still going to have its place in Age of Sigmar 4th edition, so these are coming. Oh Lord, they coming. This is the last box I have not converted into a storage container, and it is filled with my Cruel Boys. This is 2 of the Dominion boxes worth of Cruel Boys. And a Yanastra? What are you doing in here? I think I have 1 half built already, and I have a whole another Dominion half of Cruel Boys to go, as well as those other models that we've looked at already. I really hope they're good in 4th. They've been struggling for so long in 3rd, and they just need their own rules. And it seems like they're splitting Ironjawz and Cruel Boys in this edition. I really hope they go through with that. So if they're good, I'll speed paint these and get them on the table. If they're bad, I might wait another 3 years for the next edition. We'll see. Oh boy, this one. This box is filled with 100 orcs. This was a crazy project that I did late last year. Actually, it's a little bit more. It's like 113 orcs. Very fun project. I painted these as fast as I physically could. I even did like a little time motion study on how to paint literally as fast as possible, and I think they turned out pretty well for the time. Each of these took a little less than 12 minutes, and yeah, man, for 100 orcs, they look pretty friggin' good. Lovely, lovely, lovely. By the way, you'll see a lot of these trays in my videos. If you like them, it's from a company called Go Magnetic. I'll put a link to their website down below. It's all STLs that you can 3D print, and then these models, you just take off this little clip. Oh, this is a bad example. You slide, and they just kind of slide and go into the tray like that. Really cool stuff. All right, last of the big box, I have this, which is just a whole bunch of random models. I got basically all my painted Nighthaunt in here. I got a couple Space Marines, some Khorne dudes, some couple of test models for Cruel Boys, my Black Templar. Oh, that thing broke. That's a bummer. My Black Templar Shield Boys, which I really, see, this is what I'm saying. I really like the look of the Black Templars. I think they look fantastic. but it's just kind of, it's kind of dull after a bit. But I don't know. I think especially on these, the flames and all their heraldry and little knickknacks looked pretty cool. It was a good OSL opportunity. Right. Oh, I even have the little 3 model Warhammer Underworlds Warband. Remember these guys? They got a couple of those Curse City models in here. A couple Space Marines. Here's that random Plague Marine. He's pretty gross, pretty nurgly. Really enjoyed painting like this. It was my grimy-wimey paint style where you just base coat everything and then do an oil wash and then remove the oil wash. Super fast, super effective type of painting. Gonna have to do a video on that at some point. Of course, even more Nurgle stuff, my Blake drone. I think I have another one unbuilt somewhere. Okay, that's my big boxes. I think it's time to move on to my whip stuff, my partially completed, and I got a bunch of those. You know what I've been digging into recently? This video sponsor, Into the AM. Into the AM makes the fantastic shirts I've been wearing this whole video, and almost nonstop since these shirts came in a couple weeks ago. They are very soft and snuggly and fit my body in all the right ways. Into the AM shirts are a little bit longer than most t-shirts, which is a fantastic way to limit unintentional innie versus audio reveals. You just gotta leave some things to the imagination. The sleeves are also a little bit longer than most t-shirts, which means they don't roll up my arm hams as often. Their fantastic, unique shirt designs are just so cool. I'm a big space nerd and they have plenty of options that appeal to that little side obsession of mine. Like, look, hold on. There's a little space guy. Look at him. If graphic tees just aren't your style, you can also pick up a pack of their basic line, which fit and feel just the same, but are a little more low-key. Use the link in the description to up your wardrobe with an automatic 10% off discount and live life a little more comfortably. Thank you, Into the AM, for sponsoring this video. All right, works in progress and a Stampa. So these are all projects that I've started and then, gotten somewhat through and then just kind of gave up, as well as a couple things that were completed at one point and then I threw them into this box and then ended up moving around and breaking, like these Morghast, which I got wings, which is cool. This one's surviving a little bit better, but I need to clearly, I need to repair them. This also includes a whole bunch of the endless spells, which I did a very, very quick speed paint when I was first just starting to learn the airbrush. And some of them, look okay, but they're pretty unfinished. In Age of Sigmar 4th Ed, it sounds like all of the different endless spells are going to be free, so now's probably a pretty good time to start painting these up, or at least finishing them. So those will be on my desk here pretty soon. What else is in here? I got this Green Goblin from Marvel Crisis Protocol. I don't remember why, but I have him and I built him and primed him, and that's about it. I got this cool unpainted Funko Pop style Space Marine that I'd really like to paint one day and really just explore the different textures that you can put on a model while painting. Ooh, my old Nurgle Demon Prince. This was the old Nurgle specific Demon Prince, and I added some wings on him to make him a flying Demon Prince, but now Demon Princes are on a base that big instead of this big. So I don't know what to do with him. He's just kind of here, like a relic of a bygone era. Oh, here's that Nurgle Sorcerer that apparently I did not finish painting for my Nurgle Age of Sigmar army, but I did convert him, took his Space Marine backpack off and put on a shield. Pretty easy conversion overall. Now you gotta take that gun off. Another Plague Marine, missing weapons, that's cool. One of Gary's old legs. Rest in pieces, Gary. I had his Mauler Fiend, which I was building and painting up very slowly, working on all these little streaks of grime and grit, and then I just kind of gave up on him. And looking back, I'm not super happy with how this looks now, but I was so excited about it at the time. I think I might just take this one to the chop shop and turn them into bits. And then I got this big old pie plate, which Gary used to sit on. I remember one time at a Holy event, I was trying to move Gary up the board, but this particular table, the terrain was laid out in such a way that I physically could not get him out of my deployment zone because the terrain was just too big. So he just sat there taking pot shots the entire time. He didn't do much that game. This is mostly just my Stompa, with a couple endless spells too. So let's pull out the endless spells. The Ganashing Jaws. I have a old Demon Prince. I have all of his bits and pieces somewhere in this box. Pendulum, of course. My Stompa. This guy was so much fun to do. He took me literally months to complete. And I built him, I painted him, he looks amazing. He has over 2,000 rivets on him. I have not had a chance to play with him yet. I actually brought this to Adepticon to play a game with my brother, but the parking lot was so full that I had to park like 3/4 of a mile away and walk, and there was just no way I was gonna walk with this, my box of 100 orcs, and all the stuff needed to play the game, so. We'll play with it eventually, just has not had the time to hit the table yet, but it is still one of my favorite models I've ever built and painted. He's so big. Ah, he's so big. Look, he's bigger than my head. All right, back in the box with you. Also got my Gravetide, Trouble Sun, and Prismatic Palisade, which I painted with some sparkles, which was really fun, but now I find sparkles sometimes. And I will always find sparkles sometimes. And it will be a problem for me and all of my future generations dealing with those sparkles. And last, of course, Umbral Spell Portals, which have clearly seen a little bit better days. Those are all due for a repaint here. I do have to say, it is a little unfortunate how long this took. Not unfortunate, but it's a little crazy that in my metrics, when I count up my painted versus unpainted model, this big boy is going to count as one painted model. Alright, what I think is last of the GW stuff that is unpainted is this Combat Patrol for Maggotkin of Nurgle, which I have all built up, and the bases are done, but I still need to put these all onto their bases and speed paint those up. I want to try doing like a Combat Patrol, or not Combat Patrol, a Spearhead in a weekend and see if it's possible. It seems like it is, it's just 18 models. It should be doable. We'll see though. Did I say I was done with all my whips? I am not done with all my whips. I also have all of this stuff here. A lot of these, the ones on the pink handles in particular, are things that me and my kiddo paint together whenever he has the urge to paint something. He has a whole bunch of these Marvel United minis, which he loves the Marvel movies, the parts that I'll show him. So he really likes to paint these up. So I have a couple other things like this 3D printed vampire dude that my buddy Ross gave me. Pretty cool model. My son's been painting this one. Clearly I'm not this good, so my color choices are not nearly as flamboyant and cohesive as my son's, my 4-year-old son's. I also have the Glotkin. I think I have his brothers that sit on top somewhere, but I don't know where they are. I hope that I find them when I go through the stuff right now. I really hope. Glotkin was good fun to put together, and I had a lot of fun painting this like blotted, splotted skin here for his tentacle arm. And then I stopped. I don't know why. But I will definitely have to finish him for 4th edition, which is coming up here pretty quick. All right, let's talk about non-GW stuff. Everything that I'm holding right here is from Adepticon. I'm gonna put the rest of the stuff on the ground real quick. We'll cover that in a sec. But at least as far as why I have it, it was the Adepticon VIP box this year, which came with some just really cool stuff. I think I'm going to try my hardest to get that package, that VIP kit each year from Adepticon. If I go to Adepticon, they moved Adepticon. It used to be literally like a 10-minute drive for me, and now it's going to be like several hours. I'd like to go, but I'm just not sure if it's going to make sense next year. But let's get into it. Starting with the coolest thing I got from Adepticon is the Star Wars Shatterpoint Ichiwa-Ma Squad pack, which has Leia with a whole bunch of Ewoks. I mean, just how cool is that? I haven't played Shatterpoint. I haven't even watched anything about it, but just the fact that I can play Ewoks and Leia together makes me want to, look into it and give it a shot. I do want to start streaming at some point, and I might do like these non-GW things on streams, giving them quick paint jobs. I think that could be fun. I also got some Ewoks from Legion, but I think they're different scales. Like it's a different scale of model. I don't know if they work together. All right, what else did I get from Adepticon? I got some Fallout miniatures for the Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Just like everybody else with the release of that show, the Amazon rendition was friggin' awesome. So I am excited to paint these up. Well, I'm excited to paint some Fallout stuff up. I don't really know who in particular these guys are in the Fallout universe, but I'm craving some power armor from Fallout, and even more so, some like Securitrons. I want to paint those. Those sound awesome. Battletech, one random mech, and why not? Let's find out what I got. It looks like this was opened already. We got Michelle Hall, Hankyu Arctic Cheetah. I don't know what that means. We got some Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff going on here. We got Bishop and Nightcrawler, which are some pretty cool characters. I'm sure these will be fun to paint up at some point, or I might just sell them because I have enough of the Marvel chibi looking stuff with the United, which we'll get here in a little bit. We got some War Machine, Sharpshooter, pre-assembled. That's kind of neat. This is 3D printed and the supports are still on there. What the heck? From Victoria Miniatures, we got another 3D printed. You can I don't know how well you can see it, but there's support marks going from her hair to her shirt. This one seems less bad. I don't know. It's weird getting 3D models from official manufacturers. I just not expecting that. We got a Kings of War sample pack. This is a chunky little guy. Looks like this might be a couple of little vampires. The last thing that we got from Adepticon is this Clash of Steel game. This one looks pretty fun. It is, I believe, a little 15mm scale 1/100th tank game with a whole bunch of different tanks in this box, which I'm excited to put together. I think tanks would be pretty easy to speed paint because, as you can see, you got your green and they're fighting against your other green. So as far as speed paintability, this thing looks pretty fun. Soviet versus American, which could be pretty cool. Could just be a fun little project to get these done. I don't know if this is something I'd ever make a video on, but it's definitely something I can see trying out. That's the Adepticon stuff. Let's get to the next thing. All right, other non-GW stuff. I have these Black Powder Continental Infantry Regiment. I do have 3 of these built and converted into like a Turnip 28 style warband somewhere, but I do not yet have any of them painted, at least fully. I have one that's partially painted, but these are really cool models that just look like, old infantry riflemen, walk towards the enemy in a big old line. They got a big old line of dudes too, and you just walk up to each other and fire. That's what we're dealing with here. I got here 2 ATST kits. I've started to pick at one of these for bits for one of my steampunk Cities of Sigmar tank builds. I mean, what's not to love about an ATST? Cool kits. This one looks like it's really simple to put together, but that's all right. I have a feeling that these are going to be sacrificed almost entirely to the bits box. I I got them for Bot Bash in particular, so that is an instance of me purchasing things for a specific kit bash or scratch build in mind. Speaking of which, I got this Hexagear Vortex thing. This was like $8 on Black Friday. It looks like some sort of Gundam type of thing, but it's just this weird, like, crawler McDuderson. I knew I wasn't gonna build this like per the instructions. These are straight up purchased to be cool little builds to put into scratch builds and kit bashes. So I'm gonna end up clipping these all off and putting them into my big box eventually. Probably here pretty soon because this box is too big. It's taking up too much space in my closet. I got here a 1 to 35th scale Cromwell Mark IV. Again, I buy these paint kits when I see them on sale on like Black Friday or any other major sales. If I see one at a steep discount like this one was, I think this one was like 25, 30-ish bucks. I'll end up clipping this up, putting it right into the bit box for future builds. And then I have a game that I got really excited about. I got the Free Folk starter set for the Song of Ice and Fire game. My sister got this for me for Christmas. Thank you, Keela. And I haven't started it yet. Sorry, Keela. I know I'll build and paint these eventually. It's just at my game store, nobody plays this. So I'll probably speed paint it and then, I don't know, just let it sit until somebody eventually reaches out and says, Nick, let's play a song of us. Let's play some Game of Thrones on the tabletop, which they are really cool models, and I like that they are pre-assembled. Because like building models is my least favorite part of this, with the exception of like scratch builds and kit bashes are different for me for some reason, but just like assembling things per their instructions and like trimming everything and clipping everything and cleaning up all the models is like my least favorite part of the hobby. So I do really like the manufacture. I do really like how the manufacturer of these pre-builds everything for you. These ones I started to paint these up. You can see I have one shield painted with some non-metallic bronze, which I thought looked pretty cool. And then I just stopped. The giants I got a little further in. I have one giant that I think is painted pretty well, but I still need to base him, like finish the basing up. And the other giant is like base coated, and that's about it. So at some point I'll speed paint this whole army up and just kind of get it out of my pile of shame. All right. So these are mostly finished. With the exception of a couple models in here, but they're pretty cool, so I wanted to show them off. Let's see, I got my Morngul, which I converted with this little like well that he's popping out of and, you know, scaring people. This model is not painted, but eventually I want to paint her up for some type of Nurgle hero. Ooh, actually, she is not on the right. She is. All right, she is on the right size base to be a counts as Lord of Affliction, which means I could run 3 units because I got 6 of the Blight Kings on Pusgoyles, or the Pusgoyle Blight Lords. That's what they're called. So I could run her as the Lord of Affliction with 3 full units of these guys behind her, and that would be pretty sick. I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing. An old Forge World Greater Unclean One, unfinished Epidemius, which is just the worst model that GW has ever made. Oh my god. I'll have to get some close-up shots of this, but this guy is truly horrendous, and not even like in a good Nurgly way. He's just like, he's just made out of bubblegum, and his Nurgling base is just bubblegum that you like stuck a knife into a whole bunch of times, and then you set it's Nurglings, but it is clearly just bubblegum. It's crazy. I got the I don't remember what it's called. It's the Sphairlynx or something like that for Warcry, which I converted with some of these wings. I don't remember where the wings are from. But I was really happy with the way this turned out. It was all actually painted with watercolors instead of acrylics, which was a fun little project. Watercolors and gouache. Then I got my whole, at least painted, Skaven KO army here. And these guys were so fun to put together. Endrin Master, I got a whole bunch of regular Endrin suit boys. This guy is an ether chemist. He's got a little flamethrower-y thing. Got the matriarch, matriarch from Veerman, which I converted to be like a Lord Admiral, I think is what it's called. I built this army and I took it to one holy event so far. And I really liked how these guys were the regular gun haulers, which is like the small KO boats. The smaller KO boats, and what was really cool at the time, you could put like 3 of the Balloon Boys or 3 of the Balloon Boys and the Engine Master with a boat, and every single turn you could teleport them anywhere on the board, outside of 9. And just the mobility was crazy. You could pull them anywhere and put them anywhere down on the board that you wanted, and it was just a fun, crazy, kitey play style that I had a lot of fun with. And then they changed it. And then they changed the whole army and how that worked. The army ended up doing a lot better. Like in 3rd edition, after their new book came out, they did really, really well in tournaments, but it was just not the play style I wanted to play. So these have been sitting in this box ever since. I'm hoping that KO gets a little bit different rules in 4th and I can bring these out again, because I did really enjoy playing them. Although it was fucking obnoxious to play against me. All right, this box has all of my Nurgle army in it. I actually started playing this army in 40k 7th edition in a Demon's army, which was just wild what you could do in 7th edition. The summoning mechanic was crazy. But I ended up selling the rest of the Demons and just keeping the Nurgle because those were my favorite. I am very happy with the way these look, the way that the green and like the reds play with each other, especially with some of the teal that I've been throwing into the newer ones. And with that spearhead box, I'll show you all how I paint my Nurgle stuff in the next couple of months. It's a nice trade-off between going fast and getting quality. It's not a speed painted army just because of the amount of steps. I do want to try to paint that spearhead in a quick time frame just to get it done and on the table. All right. We got my last fully completed army here, which has been long requested. Apologies for not showing them in a good manner before, but here are my steampunk / dieselpunk Hobbit Cities of Sigmar army. These are all built out of kids' toys, as well as some old GW pots in the case of these gyrocopters. But I run these as Cities of Sigmar in AOS, and they're just so fun to play. I have these little pink ones, which are counts as Canary Heart Renders, which is basically like something that I can ally into cities. They're technically Daughters of Cain, but I can ally them into Cities of Sigmar, and they can be like a late game drop something onto an objective to capture it type of unit for only like 110 points. Got a bunch of steam tanks. This one I always run as my steam tank commander, which unlocks my other steam tanks as battle line in the game. And then I have my Hurricane, which in AOS 3rd has been absolutely crazy and gives everything within 12 inches, wholly within, +1 to hit, which for steam tanks is nutty because they are shooting 1 or 2 if you do the more pressure thing. So 2 cannonball attacks per turn. With the Hurricane nearby, it's hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. Neg 2 or 3, I think 2, Neg 2 Rend, which is like AP in 40k, and D3 +2 damage. So pretty hard hitting steam cannon shots. And they also all get steam gun attacks, which is 3d6 per model, 3s and 3s to hit and wound. Pretty cool stuff. All right, that was enough wargaming stuff. Let's cover some board games with minis. Oh boy. All right, so I got 2 major board games here. The first of which is Darkest Dungeon. This is a board game made by Mythic Games. It was a Kickstarter, and it was my first Kickstarter, and it has been an experience, let me tell you that. So I went all in on the Darkest Dungeon board game Kickstarter. It was one of my favorite video games. I have hundreds of hours in that video game. I remember it was my go-to game when I was a stay-at-home dad for a little bit, and I had my little kiddo napping on my shoulder here, and I had it on my Switch, and I'd play it for 90 or so minutes at a time, a couple times a day when my kiddo was taking a nap. So I have a lot of fond memories of the game. It's a brutal game with permadeath and a whole bunch of things that want to kill you all the time, and this board game adapts it very faithfully. This isn't even the full game. No. This is the core game and one expansion, the Crimson Court, which are these like mosquito-y, vampire-y type of dudes. In total, I think it was like 305 miniatures are part of the full game. This is essentially the first batch, the first half from that Kickstarter. But more is supposed to be coming in now towards the end of this year. It was all supposed to be delivered 2 years ago, but then COVID happened and we found out that Mythic Games is basically a pyramid scheme they would set up multiple Kickstarters. They would do a Kickstarter for Board Game A and then start producing that while they release Kickstarter for Board Game B, but they would use the money from Board Game B to pay for the production of Board Game A. So it was kind of like a Ponzi scheme, but for miniatures, which is just unfortunate because it's like this weird tainted experience I've had with this board game, which has some absolutely phenomenal models. They're like chibi skeletons and warriors and heroes and monsters and special monsters and a whole bunch of really, really cool minis. And I've painted like maybe 10 of them out of like I think there's gotta be like 100 and something miniatures here, and I'm about 10 in. And some of those 10 aren't even done yet. And a couple of them I painted them, and then my son ended up painting on top of. So really like the Darkest Dungeon stuff. The universe is just so cool. The art direction, phenomenal. If you've ever played the game, you know. If you haven't, it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, like the computer game, you can't buy these right now. I think they're all sold out. I mean, there might be some like eBay listings, but I imagine they would be pretty expensive to get. So that's Darkest Dungeon. The other board game that I have with miniatures is these Marvel United boxes. This is a pretty simple game that I'm hoping to teach my kiddo when he's a little bit older and can, read with a little bit more confidence. He can read right now, like little words, short vowels, that kind of thing. It's really cool to see. But you guys don't want to hear about my kiddo. He's awesome, though. He's cooler than you. These sets are Marvel characters, and they're little chibi versions of each character. And it's a pretty fun, stupid, simple game that you can play with a family. With the main use of these for me is right now is just to have something to paint with my kid. With that out of the way, I think that's all my minis. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this all into a spreadsheet with, what the models are, how many minis per set, how many are unpainted, how many are painted, MSRP, what I think I paid for them, and then lastly, I'm going to do the reason why I got them. Oh, I'm also going to have my wife come in and just take a look at all of this. So, Danielle, this is all of the models that I own.
That's too many! Is that like your whole closet?
Not really. It's honestly, I thought I would have more.
Is it because there's a lot of lids?
No, the lids are also filled with stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so like these look like they might be lids, but they are filled with more minis.
Did you show them these?
No, I'm not done yet. I gotta do the 3D prints. Okay, I'm not going through the 3D prints. Look, I got a whole bunch of prints and like one Combat Patrol of Sisters of Battle I'll put into the tally, but they're all unpainted 3D prints. Like we don't need to go through those. Most of those are probably gonna end up in the trash. So over the past couple of days, I've tallied up all of my minis. I thought of the reasons why I purchased them. I figured out how much I think I paid for them, as well as the MSRP. And now we're gonna go through the data with my lovely wife.
Hi.
My wife Danielle is not a mini painter, so I'm a little worried about how she's going to react to some of the statistics here. All right, Danielle, let's play some games.
What?
How many minis do you think I have?
20.
You think I have 20 models?
1,274.
1,430.
I was pretty close.
You were pretty close. How many of them do you think are painted?
1,274.
Oh, you think very highly of me.
Unpainted?
No, painted.
Oh. That was my unpainted
okay.
guess.
Okay, that makes sense. I won't disappoint you nearly as much now.
Wait, how many do I think are painted?
Yeah, how many do you think are painted?
503.
337.
Less than I thought.
It's not good.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
You got a lot of little guys, though.
And it's crazy because like 100 of them is just those 100 orcs I did. I thought that was...
I guess I'm just bad at like visualizing how many are a thing.
Yeah, and this is like painted and like finished, like totally completed models, not like
This
whips.
is not like work in
Yeah.
progress.
Correct. It was still
Okay.
lower than I thought it would be. I'm a little disappointed in that number. I'm gonna have to crank that up this year.
Alright, well, don't make me math, so
Okay.
just show me unpainted.
Unpainted is the remainder. This doesn't add up. How does this not add up? My formulas were wrong. There we go. That's better. How much do you think I've spent on minis?
How much do I think you think?
Yeah.
And then you actually calculated the like real value?
So I have the MSRP. So like,
Uh-huh, yeah,
and then
yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
like I went through of each item.
And like,
And,
because
like-
I know you didn't pay full price for all of it.
Correct. So that's where
this is just like, okay,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So it's like, what do I remember these things costing?
So,
take
like,
it with a
if
grain
you-
of salt.
okay, but like if you did a raffle thing, which I saw you did, you're counting how much you paid for the raffle tickets?
Yes.
But not like how much the models are worth.
Correct.
You think you spent $1,400. Oh no. Jesus Christ. That's too much money. Which means, Nicholas,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money. Why?
I really like
Because
models.
you're 25% afraid of.
Well, we'll get to the FOMO. Don't worry.
How many dollars is that of missing out?
Hold on. We'll get there. How much do you think this is all worth MSRP? What's the retail value of
$6,000.
5,000?
Okay, I was close-ish.
Close.
I don't know.
And you know what that means? It's almost $2,000 of profit,
That's
baby.
not how that works.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
If
What
I
do
were
I
to sell
mean?
this all right now at MSRP, which I can't do, I would be able to make almost $2,000 in profit.
I think it costs this, which means I'm making money. That's
Yeah.
not how that works.
Yeah, so yes,
no.
27% of it was FOMO, and we can drill into that data in a second. Cost per mini total, $2.50 for each mini I own.
Okay,
Cost per painted mini,
way too much.
$10.45. Yeah, I need to work on this.
Way too much.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, they're interesting. So painted versus unpainted. So let's dig into this. So you brought up FOMO, so we can do that one first. And that has cost me, if I'm remembering correctly, $1,714. Why did I get it? Of course, it's all FOMO, with an MSRP of $2,600 basically. Cost per painted mini goes down. Basically what I categorized as FOMO is all the minis that I purchased because it was...
Because so-and-so had it already and you thought it was cool.
No, that would be like jealousy. No, this is like
Like, you
the
don't
box
want to
set.
miss out on the cool shit.
I don't want to... You're right. This is like the starter boxes. So like they're only available for that, first
Oh,
release.
you're a sucker for that, too.
A little bit. Yeah.
$1,700 worth of a sucker.
Over the course of almost a decade, yeah. So we can dig into exactly what this includes, and one of the biggest cost here, in fact, the biggest cost of any of my purchases was Darkest Dungeon. And Darkest Dungeon was a Kickstarter that was, of course, only available
I know,
for
you
very
were
small.
very excited about that.
I was so excited for it. And I also did like Black Friday sales. So like this Knight Paladin, which I believe I paid $80 for. It's a $170 model. I got it at Black Friday 3 years ago because it was on sale. So one that looks really bad and I feel really bad about is gifts.
Okay.
What percentage of models that I've been gifted do you think I've painted?
0.
0. So I really need to stop asking for models for like birthday and Christmas.
You gotta take them
I
all
already
off your
did.
Amazon, did you?
Yeah, I took them
I'm
off.
glad you
I feel
that.
so shitty about this. Total minis.
I'm glad I got that one right.
Yeah. 50 minis in total have been gifted to me, and I have done nothing with them.
You were so excited to get them too.
I know.
Well, at least there's only 2 things here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like people get you minis often.
You're right. It is literally 2 gifts, but just on face value, it looks terrible. Akil, I swear I'll get to the Song of Ice and Fire thing eventually. Excitement is basically if I got it for an existing army, or I guess it's models I've gotten for armies primarily, where I'm just buying them because I'm excited to either play them in the game or add them to my army or whatever. 28% painted.
Super excited.
I was so excited. Digging into this. We have a couple weird things. Like we have my 100 plus painted orcs, which I don't have a cost, or I do have a cost. It was 1 bottle of resin for those 106 orcs. I was super excited about a Song of Ice and Fire. A battle wagon, which was a whopping $6 because it was 2 toys from Goodwill. Raffle. Should we take a look at how I've done with the things I won from the raffle?
Wait, before you click it, are you happy?
I am, because there's a couple projects that I want to start, but I've painted none. I've painted 0 things.
That's
that I've
not
gotten
really
from
what
the
I was
raffle.
asking for. I guess I was asking if you were happy about the cost to result ratio.
Cost to result, not super happy. Cost to MSRP, definitely very happy. Cost to potential, also pretty happy about that. What are things I get just for painting?
You don't ever plan on playing with any of these?
Yep. So just
Ever
for painting
at all?
projects.
Ever?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've painted 1.
$335 for cost to painted mini. Is that worth it?
It is, because it includes all the Marvel United stuff that I've anything that I've been painting with my kiddo, I'm pretty happy about. This is one of the ones where I don't feel bad about the remembered costs and the atrocious cost per painted metric right there.
Wait, do these include the ones the Bubby has painted?
Yes, these include the ones that
The little guy has painted?
So the only one is a Sphinx model. I'm not counting any of the ones for Marvel United as painted because they're all...
So he painted the Sphinx.
No, I painted the Sphinx.
But he has painted 0.
Yes.
Okay.
None of his models are counting. And then I have a game piece. How many game pieces
I
do
know
you
you
think?
got some tank. Wait, no, that's for bits. The
So
tanks were
game
for bits.
pieces is it's not a piece for an army, but it is a different part of the game.
Die?
No, in Age of Sigmar, there's things called endless spells that
Oh, the rainbow NATO?
Yeah. What do you think the percentage of the game pieces I have that are painted?
That are painted?
Painted, yeah.
50.
100%.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of them were really quick paint jobs, and they could probably use some touching up, but I'm still kind of just painted because they are completely serviceable at this point
Maybe
in time.
someone should gift you a spell.
Maybe someone should. And then the other thing...
I know you got some tanks for bits.
Yes. So bits. I considered... What did I consider as painted for that? That's not supposed to be for bits. No, yes it is. Yes it is. Because the Blood Bowl teams I use to make my Hobbit army and my Karajan Overlords Rat army. So that does check out. Yeah. These I just got for bits. And I'll just tear these down and throw them all into the bit box at the end.
So how did you calculate painted versus unpainted? Each bit?
Well,
You're not gonna paint a whole tank because you're using it for bits. You didn't calculate each little bitty bop of the tank.
no, I didn't. But like, it's one model from 4 models from the Hobbit Blood Bowl team are fully painted and on top of one of my Hobbit army.
Okay.
So like, I consider that one model.
But what about the stuff that you're just taking apart and painting the parts?
Yeah, it's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like the full model, but like these literally are full models painted and
Okay, that
like
one
the legs.
line.
Yeah, and that's the only one that's underpainted here.
Okay. But like you have painted bits of the tank.
Yeah.
So what percentage of that one tank is painted?
I don't know. Not much.
I feel like there's missing
important
data.
I also didn't.
What percentage of the tank is painted?
What tank? This tank right here?
Any of those.
This tank is
yeah.
new on sprue. It has not been touched.
Okay, what's a tank that you did?
They're in my bits box, which I did not include at all in this. This is I did not include anything from my bit box.
Did you include garbage that you've just acquired?
There's no cost for garbage.
How many pouch lids do you have, and how much did we spend on pouches in order for you to have those lids?
I think our son eating them.
Nope. I don't
have to include it.
I think you should include it. I want to know.
Nope. I think that's
Did you
everything.
eat that whole bag of popcorn?
Hey, we're on camera right now. So yeah, that's
That's a lot of money.
yeah. So the next thing I'm gonna do is
At least it's not a down payment for a house. I'd be pretty cranky.
that is fair. That is fair.
It's moving costs, though.
It is moving costs.
Did I put that in perspective a little?
No, I don't feel bad about it.
I know you don't. I don't feel bad about it either. You're
Good.
having fun.
Good. Okay, cool. Like $350 a year for 10 years, plus paint and paintbrushes. And
Spend more than that on running shoes.
Yeah.
So do you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm overall
Plus
not.
paint. Paint's not even on here.
Yeah,
How
no,
much do you
paint-
think you spend on paint? Cause you would just go in the store and buy like 3 bottles of paint every time you walk in, cause you gotta buy something
Yeah.
if you're in there.
Yeah.
That's not true.
I would say paint's probably approaching $1,000.
Only $1,000?
Yeah.
I feel like it's more than
You
$1,000.
think so?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
How many paints aren't even up there anymore? How many have you gifted? How many have you thrown away and used?
Okay, maybe a little more than $1,000.
Well,
It's
I'm
like-
not mad about it. I
Yeah.
just like.
You know
How
the
much do
crazy
you
thing?
think?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's probably a little more than $1,000. So like, in armies that I've purchased and then sold at like lost, let's say that this is like $1,000 a year hobby, right? Something like that, probably.
I don't know,
In that
maybe.
realm. Like we're not counting 3D printers because I've literally been given every single 3D printer and every single bottle of resin that I've used, with the exception of one bottle.
What about your PLA ones? You did buy one, right?
I did buy the Ender 3 and some filament for that, so that's hard to see. It's too hard to calculate the actual cost for that. And like, what do you count as unpainted models? Is it like a broken model that broke during manufacture? I don't know. It breaks all of my figures to include 3D printing, so I omitted it. But so let's say it's $1,000 a year hobby, which like it's not cheap, but you compare that to a lot of other hobbies.
Running shoes.
Running shoes for running is probably about as expensive a year. A boat guys, how much do they spent on their boats?
Oh, car guys.
Car guys.
Jesus.
Yeah, how much money you just to get like, I don't even know because I don't pay attention to cars.
Who buys those?
Camera gear.
I don't even want to think about it.
I buy the cheap camera gear too.
I know. I know.
I don't even have the expensive stuff. My videos still look good as I talk into my $90 webcam from also 6 years ago.
Good. You don't need another one.
This one's fine. All right. I'm gonna do a little bit of thinking over the next couple of days and figure out what I want to do with some of this stuff. Any thoughts?
It's colorful graphs. Good job.
Thank you.
Looks cute.
So I've been editing this video for the past 2 weeks and I've had quite a bit of time to figure out what I want to do with my hobby hoard. Let's tackle the easy stuff first, the bits. Things I purchased for my bits box are just gonna get removed from their sprues, put in the bits box, and just kind of consolidated. It's what they were intended for in the first place. The stuff I still have new in box, I might sell a couple of the things, keep a couple of the others, like the Stormcast I'm gonna add to my Stormcast army. Kragnos, depending on how 4th edition pans out, I might sell them. I might keep them and do like a Centaur themed army. We'll see about that. I have a handful of 3D prints I don't really plan on painting anymore, so I'm just gonna toss those and make some more room. And then a lot of the armies and like the halves of launch boxes for Warhammer editions, I plan on speed painting here in the near future, which is all great for my current horde, but how do I stop it from growing? Well, I'm gonna make a couple of changes. As I mentioned earlier when I was going through the data with Danielle, I'm going to remove any sort of models from like Amazon wish lists or anything like that. Clearly, I don't paint the things I'm gifted, so I'll just stop asking for them. Another thing I'm going to do is, unless I have a specific list that I want to run like a couple of weeks away, I'm not going to be purchasing any more models for existing armies. I might get excited for something, but unless I have a specific game or event, it clearly isn't worth it for me to go ahead and purchase minis for my armies. And then there's the launch boxes, which I'm of two minds about. If I'm actively playing a game like Age of Sigmar, I think it does make sense for me to get into those so I can have a copy of the rules and all that jazz for when edition starts. But if I'm not actively playing the game, like for 40k, I really don't play all too much, so I don't think I'll be purchasing the launch boxes for that in the future unless I get back into it and I start playing more games. The hardest thing for me to stop doing, but I really need to stop doing, is just looking for sales or going to places on Black Friday to purchase more minis. I've done it a bunch in the past. A handful of them are still sitting here, and it just doesn't seem worth it, even if the things are at a lower price. If I don't have a purpose for something I'm purchasing, it should not be purchased. And then the other part of FOMO that I want to address is the Kickstarter. I've only done the Darkest Dungeon Kickstarter, but just based on how that's going and how many I've painted versus just the space they're taking up, it doesn't seem worth it to me to like back any more board games on Kickstarter. It's just not for me, I guess. Thank you so much for watching this video and going on this journey with me. If you're not subscribed yet and you made it this far, maybe subscribe. If you like this one, you'll definitely like my other videos. Huge thank you to my patrons for supporting this channel. Huge thank you to Into the Aeon for sponsoring this video. Go get yourself some shirts. I'll put a link with a built-in discount into the description here. They are very comfortable. If you're dealing with your own hobby hoard and want to make one of those storage boxes I showed earlier at the GW box storage boxes, you can watch that video right here. Until next time, y'all, stay happy and take care. Bye-bye. This was a long one. Go buy a shirt.